I have been very, very, very reflective this year in 2024. And this is the last day of this year. And like so many people do during this time of the year, you set your goals for the upcoming year. And people get very, excited about what they want to accomplish. And I do feel like a lot of people start off really strong and then drop off. And I'm guilty of that. I'm sure a lot of us are guilty of that. But what I wanted to jump on and talk about is something that I feel is very, very important and something that we can't um, drop off on. And it has to do with the state of education in this country today. And as an educator, this is near and dear to my heart. As someone who loves kids and has been, you know, um, in education for quite a while, I just felt that it was very important for us as educators to be really reflective and purposeful about what we are doing um, in whatever space you occupy in this field. So that's why I wanted to get on. I'm a very reflective person. This actually started when I was in eighth grade in Willingboro, going to Willingboro High School, and we had to read the Diary of Anne Frank, Diary of a Young Girl, Anne Frank. That book, that English class, so impacted me, and her story um, so moved me. And that is when I decided I wanted to keep a journal. And Frank kept a journal, and she was able to, journal and write about what was happening to her, her family, and Jews throughout um, her country. And through all of the evil that was happening, she was still, at the end of the day, able to love people and still have hope and faith in people and in the world. So, with that being said, I want to have that same, reflective mindset. And so, what I have been doing since that time, since as an eighth grader, I journal. Um, I have some up here, as you can see, and it's really, really helps me to be reflective. It's something that I do faithfully. It's something that um, helps you to grow when you read through your past entries in your journals. I love it because I can celebrate some things and be like, wow, I really did that and made that goal or that dream come to pass. And then sometimes I'm like, ooh, you still got some work to do. Your attitude is still funky or, or whatever. Because then, when I'm writing in my journal, I'm very honest, and I'm writing to God when I write my journal. So I started off with dear God, and it's about my relationship with him. And so I know this is I wanted to talk about education on this live chat, but I'm a Christian, so I'm of course going I can't separate the two. And so why I wanted to do this, as I've been reflecting, this is my 35th year as an educator. I was thinking about that this summer when I was going through a transition within my career. And then I look back over all that I had done in education. I'm like, wow, I've been doing this for 35 years. And so if you follow me on Facebook, I started posting my journeys through each of the schools and ventures that I have done, and all in a positive light. Like I kept it positive on all those things. But there's definitely been over the 35 years some things that I have seen that have caused me concern. And also, with this being the 70th year, 2024, of the Brown versus Board of Education decision, 70 years, y'all. And in 70 years, I feel like we got a long way to go, unfortunately. and that really saddens me. So I've been really, really contemplative about that. And so this school year, I've really been driving home the point with my students and my staff about the importance of education, the importance of literacy and reading for our students. But this live is going to be my honest thoughts and opinions, and this is my experience. It may not be yours. I don't mean to offend, but I do mean to provoke thought and for us to be pensive and to be intentional about how we're going to proceed moving forward, because at the end of the day, what I do not want to happen is for us to go another 10 years and not see impact within the education system as we need to see. We don't have another 10 years to waste and waste our children's time. So there is a quote, and I heard this years ago, and forgive me if I get it wrong, but it says something to the fact that every system is perfectly designed to achieve exactly what it gets. Something like that. Like whatever system that there is, that system is designed to get the results that it's getting. So, with that, what results are we getting in education? 70 years after Brown versus Board of Education, where we still have basically segregation in schools. If I go into urban areas like my charter school is almost entirely black and brown students. I have black and then I have some Spanish students. That's pretty much it. And almost my entire career in education has been that. So we still, to me, have a long way to go. We still have kids that are not reading at the level that they should be. I remember teaching in Philadelphia, and I was a math teacher at the time, and I was teaching seventh grade, and a student came up to me and whispered in my ear the first few days of school that he couldn't read. And I know he was doing that because I would call on students to, read in the textbook as we were sharing, or I was getting ready to teach a new concept. But hear what I just said. Seventh grade and cannot read. How is that possible? How did this student get to the seventh grade and no one addressed that he cannot read? How do I have students in my school now who are in the third grade and cannot read? It's poor instruction. So I am, I mean, we could go in a lot of different directions. I could talk about family and the family's role in that in education. When I was coming up, I'm so grateful I came up the way that I did, and we lived with my grandparents for a extended amount of time. And before I even went to school, before I even went to kindergarten, I could read. My grandparents were very particular about what we were allowed to watch on TV. I basically watched Sesame Street, Electric Company, those things. That's what it was. Um, I had a mother who loved to read. Like I loved my mom would sit in bed with these thick books and read, and that's what she did. Or she would draw pictures. So guess what I wanted to do as a little girl? I wanted to read and I wanted to draw because that's what my mom did. So I don't want to go down that road of family. I'm here to talk more so about the educational system. And so, a couple of things that I think we need to do to address this so that we don't go another 70 years without it making impact is number one, we need to address teachers. And number two, we need to address administrators. I don't want this to be long and drawn out. I could talk about this for hours, believe me. And if you want to chat with me, feel free to. I could go on and on for days. But I love teachers. I love teaching. I was a teacher myself and struggled when I came out of the classroom. I didn't really want to come out of the classroom. And because I just love teaching so much, I love the students. I love pouring into my students. I love preparing my lessons. I just loved it. It brought me joy. It's what I found purpose in. And for me to come out of the classroom, it really had to be divine intervention and God really telling me that I could have more impact on more children by impacting teachers, so that my reach would be all of the kids that those teachers had and not just the kids that I was teaching every day. So that's kind of how I ended up saying, okay, I'll go into administration. But to and I say this all the time, so anybody that has been a teacher under me as I began to go into administration and instructional coaching and curriculum and instruction and then being a principal, knows that I believe the teacher is so critical. The person that is in front of our students is so important, and you have to believe that your kids can do whatever it is you need them to do and that they want to do. I always look at kids as um, what God sees them as. I always pray that. I want to see the students that are in front of me as God sees them. And I don't care how they're behaving, how they're acting. Um, I want to see past that and see the gifts and talents that God has put into them and how I can get them to use those. And I used to say it to my older students. I'm like, you're going to use that for good and not evil. So that's what I want teachers to do. And unfortunately, what troubles me sometimes is when I hear that these kids, that irritates me. These kids, because there are kids, there are students, and I don't know, it's just the tone I think of that really bothers me. And so it makes me think of, why are you in front of these kids if you're thinking of them in such a negative way? So I don't really want to get into that. I've seen a lot of great teachers in my 35 years of education, but I've also seen some bad teachers that should not be in front of kids. And unfortunately, our system, the way that is designed, is sometimes hard to remove those people that should not be in front of teachers, so of in front of students. So that is something that I think definitely needs to be addressed. Um, because at the end of the day, I know when I became a leader, I was like, at the end of the day, my main focus is on these kids. I love these kids and I want what's best for them. The adults, do I love them? Yes. But they have degrees, they're grown, they've been through school. These kids have not. And so my kids need the best in front of them, the people that are going to believe in them and help them to get to where they need to be. But one of the main issues that I see in education, and again, my opinion, my experience may not be yours, is lack of accountability. And I feel like that is on all sides, but mostly, with leaders, with administrators, with school boards, with not holding people accountable. So I have seen great, great school leaders who inspired me, who helped me to be a better teacher, helped me to be a better leader, and were able to create amazing teams that really focus on the vision of that school and kept that in the forefront of their mind. So everything that they did was around, what are we called to do? What is our purpose? What is our mission? What is our vision? And we ran with it. We ran with it. We were all united in that. And then I've seen also where that has not been the case. And so for me, one of the things that is going to have to change in order for us to get where we need to be in education is for everyone to be held accountable. It cannot be sometime. We have to have a standard and people have to be held to that standard. And that includes leaders. I do think that people get into education for all the right reasons, because they love kids and love teaching, love educating. I do believe that, but sometimes our focus gets off. I feel like a lot of leaders sometimes get focused on money, and then that becomes the downfall. They want that six-figure salary, and they're going to do whatever it takes to maintain that, and that becomes an issue. So when leaders are not held accountable, that's when I, in my experience, have seen um, where things start to fall through the cracks. And at the end of the day, the people that are impacted by this the most are our students when adults are not held accountable. You can't tell me that you should be in front of kids teaching, and your kids every year, when you're in front of them, they're going backwards. They're not making gains. You're making it worse. And no one is holding you accountable to that. You're not teachable. When I was coming up, I learned that you had to be teachable. You had to be accountable. That's what qualified you to be a leader. And if you aren't those things, you're not qualified to be a leader. So I really think at the end of the day, what is going to turn schools around are the leaders, those in charge. And we have to have accountable, faithful, teachable leaders who are called to this work and who are going to do whatever it takes to get the job done, regardless of what others think, who are always going to be student first. I hear all the time people say that they're student first thinking, but their actions don't line up with that. And that's what has saddened me in education. So I know our our jobs are hard. Um, it's a lot of work. Um, it can be draining, and we have to take care of ourselves. But what I definitely want to do and would love to see, and what is going to be at the forefront of my actions and my prayers this upcoming year is praying for teachers and praying for educators because we cannot allow this to continue to happen. I want to celebrate the 80th year of Brown versus Board of Education with seeing such gains and seeing the achievement gap gone, reversed, seeing our students achieving everything that they are called to do, reading, writing, just being amazing, articulate individuals. And they can be, but we are here to help them, and we can't be part of the problem. So I'm going to be praying for all you teachers and all you educators this year, and I hope that you join me. I think, so I'm sitting here. I think what I want to do is actually start the year with praying for teachers, and maybe I'll do like something every day where we can pray um, and ask for clarity, ask for favor um, for our students because that's what we need. I want kids to love school. I want them to be all that they're called to be, and it's nothing like when a kid that you have taught comes up to you and remembers you, number one, but has nothing but good things to say about how you impacted them, how you inspired them, and why they are where they are, and that you are a part of that story. So yes, I'm excited about the new year. I am, but I just had like that I just wanted to share because I do feel like we have a lot of work to do. And but like I said with that saying that every system is designed to do exactly what it achieves. That quote to me is very powerful. So what do we need to do? We need to start funding some schools differently, especially schools that don't have like this big tax revenue base like a lot of schools do. We need to do some things differently in our system. And so I'm so thankful for people that work on that end of the of this work, that are working to change things in our laws and how we fund schools, how we pay teachers, and those kinds of things. But I also want us that are in the trenches every day, looking at our students, speaking to our young kings and queens, inspiring them, motivating them, inspiring each other, motivating each other in this work, and holding each other accountable and to high standards, because that is the work. That is the work. And if we do that, if we create a system that is perfectly designed to achieve exactly what it gets, we are going to get students who are achieving. And we will not have students in third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade who cannot read, who cannot write, who don't know their basic math facts. We can stop that. That makes no sense. And there's no excuse for it. So thank you for indulging me. I hope that you have and pray that you will have a very blessed, wonderful 2025. Um, Teachers, enjoy the rest of your winter break. And let's get back to work in this new year and get these results for our students. Have a blessed day. Be safe today and tonight, and have a blessed and prosperous 2025. Bye.